There's not been a single post, I think, that has gone up since this relationship's begun that has gotten less than 1,500 impressions. When I used to write my own content, there were some posts that used to what I would call flop. Didn't go very far. I haven't experienced that. You know, the way that you guys do it, the way that you automate and streamline the process, I think is super valuable. You know, I love the ability to come in to a call, have content for a variety of different verticals, because it's kind of like that set it and forget it. But I think consistency is the thing that you guys have helped with the most, especially on the X platform. We've just noticed a pickup in conversations, in leads, especially on the real estate agent front. One of the leads that you've actually created for me has like literally reached out to me on a regular basis because we haven't been able to connect on the scheduled time that we're putting together. My philosophy about anything in life is what you put in is what you're going to get out. I think if you put 50% into the gym, you're going to probably get 50% of the result that you probably could get in. It's the same thing about this business relationship. If I choose to like not be involved in it, I'm probably not going to get a great experience. I'll probably blame you. That's not who I am, which is why I've said to Zach, like, listen, you probably could handle a lot of this for me, but I'm going to be involved in this because this is something I'm passionately like doubling down on for a year or however long period of time that we're going to do this. So,
all right, we're here with Michael Clark of Primary Residential Mortgage, FounderBrands client. Really pumped to chat, but let's start with a quick intro so everyone knows who you are, what's your business, and who do you help?
Yeah, Colin, great to see you. Great to be with you. Michael Clark, Division President of the Mid-Atlantic region here at Primary Residential Mortgage. I've been with the company for just about 7 years. And we're serving obviously all of the real estate transaction for folks' residential real estate, whether that be their primary, second home, investment property, whatever the heck that they're trying to do to put themselves in the best position, both from a real estate perspective as well as a financial perspective as well.
Okay, fantastic. So how did you first come across FounderBrands, and what did your presence on X and LinkedIn look like back then?
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about that when we had our analytics meeting a couple weeks ago. I don't know that I have a really cool story on how I found you. I think it was just like you showed up on my algorithm a bunch of years ago. I had taken a liking to the content that you were putting out. I think you were still at Dartmouth, if I'm not mistaken, and like starting the company or starting, from an entrepreneur standpoint. Hit the follow button, and that was that. As it pertains to my kind of footprint on X and LinkedIn, I'd always had one on. I was a consumer of X, or formerly Twitter, and then obviously a very, very high user of LinkedIn, which you guys have been able to kind of blow out of the water in a great way. So there was a great foundation on LinkedIn that you guys have really kind of come in and created a very big splash on. And then obviously building the X content on a more consistent basis, I've started to see obviously some pickup there as well. So yeah, I mean, kind of a hodgepodge between those two platforms, but it's been nothing but success in the early going.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Before we started working together, what were you struggling most with when it came to building authority and pipeline online?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a cop-out answer, but it's always like consistency, right? I think the way that you guys do it, the way that you automate the system, and streamline the process, I think is super valuable, at least to me, the way that I operate my business and our personnel. And quite frankly, my own personal just schedule. I love the ability to kind of come in to a call, have content for a variety of different, verticals, and obviously a time frame of anywhere between 50 and 45 days. I think that's super valuable because it's kind of like that set it and forget it. But the relevant, comments and things of that nature that are happening on a daily basis, are super valuable. But I think consistency is the thing that you guys have helped with the most. Especially on the X platform.
Okay.
I was posting on LinkedIn on every day of the week, like the work week, Monday through Friday, and sometimes Monday through Thursday. The posting on every day, 7 days a week, I think I've seen the significant pickup, like no day off type of thing.
Absolutely. No days off, that's for sure. What made you finally decide that it was time to sign up for FounderBrands?
I like to think that words matter, right? So I like to use the word I think, but I know that that business in any industry across platform is moving to virtual and digital footprint, and whether that be SEO or algorithm-based, AI-based, people have to have a digital footprint. And so I've always known that. I've had one, but I think honing it to be, not only personal and authentic to yourself, but also just to make sure that people know what it is that you do for a profession is super important. Blending the two has always been important to me, and you guys have helped with that. How I knew to sign up is that it's like, listen, I've been doing it. I don't want to say half-assed by any means, because it wasn't half-assed, but doing it and committing to it and having an accountability partner in it, that's to me when I knew. I also, not to blow your head up, just meeting you on that first call, I was like, okay, this guy gets it. This guy gets me. We're aligned philosophically, psychologically. It was a make sense decision for me that I don't regret at all.
That's great to hear. And I remember having early conversations, and I definitely got to get to Baltimore Country Club and play around the golf with you. That'd be fantastic. But I definitely understand what you're saying. And I think that is an important relationship to have, like you kind of know when something might be a good fit, and I'm glad we've been able to deliver on the content front. But let's talk about that a little bit. A couple months in, how have things shifted on revenue pipeline, the quality of conversations they're having? Walk me through that.
That's slowly starting to show itself as fruit, I don't think anything specific to like, you guys are measuring it, which has been great analytically. I think we've just noticed a pickup in conversations, a pickup in leads, especially on the real estate agent front, as well as obviously some people that have come that are interested in kind of credit repair, for lack of a better word. I think we're going to see some transactions, like some actual revenue here in the next 30, 60, 90 days. I mean, again, the home buying process for a typical individual is any one in every 7 years, right? It's tough to measure that in a 3-4 month span that we're doing this in and continuing to do it in. But I absolutely can see the activity. And obviously it shows up in not only the social media analytics, but there have been meetings that we've taken and obviously our conversations that we are having and taking to certain stages for that.
Yeah, and I know you've got 2 calls with leads lined up this week, plus several other warm conversations. Walk me through a conversation you've had, and how does someone go from seeing your content to landing on a call with you?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, so you guys obviously have all that inside sales and working alongside with my scheduler and what happens. And so it's funny, like one of the leads that you've actually created for me has like literally reached out to me on a regular basis because we haven't been able to connect, on the scheduled time that we're putting together. And so it's almost like they're like knocking at the door. And, I actually reached out to them over the weekend to be like, hey, first thing we can do is, we'll do it Tuesday morning once we're back in the saddle here. But yeah, I mean, I think warm conversations are the best. I mean, they're way better than any cold lead or, cold email or cold phone call. And I think the backing up of the social media is obviously if you are getting a cold phone call and it's like, oh, you can take a look at me online, whether that be X or LinkedIn, they start to learn a little bit about you because of the authenticity weave that's in there, as well as obviously, just I think the dedication of letting people know what it is that you do, who it is that you are, and what it is that you're trying to achieve. And I think what we're trying to achieve here is win-win. We're not looking to gain or garner transactions such that we win and the other person loses. I think we're actually trying to lose more than we win in the event that our customer is winning first and foremost.
Yeah, and I think what you're mentioning there is like you're probably noticing an increase in conversion rate based on your what I call proof of existence on these social media platforms.
Yeah.
They want to make sure you're the real deal, right? They want to make sure you're legit, that you have a great track record. And what they do is they look you up. They see, wow, this is awesome LinkedIn account, a lot of followers, a lot of engagement, really good content. So not only do we drive new leads, but we help increase conversion rate with existing leads. So I think that's a huge benefit.
Absolutely agree.
Can you describe the time commitment and what that actually looks like on your end, what you're responsible for, what we take off your plate?
Yeah, I mean, the time commitment is obviously what, you're taking off of my plate, the creation of the content itself, obviously that recorded call, it's all in my voice, obviously, because as you get to learn the relationship here on top of with your entire team, the dedication of an inside sales leader, to be able to kind of go after, very specific, targeted, intentional is the word I'd actually use, leads, whether that be real estate agents, potential home buyers, people talking about personal finance, things of that nature. Just garnering a community online that you're obviously being able to then have a referral network. You guys are doing all of that. I mean, there's nothing that you're taking off my plate. I mean, I told you how that's why we were philosophically aligned. I was writing content every Sunday night, usually when I was watching football or the NBA, my Knicks just won the championship, so I don't have anybody to watch anymore. My Mets stink. So I would always usually write my content for the week on that Sunday. Now I'm getting to kind of talk to somebody and record a call for about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour with somebody who's like, wow, I got a lot here and I can write as much as possible. And so that's been obviously a significant time saver, as well as just the client walkthrough that you guys have. I think you guys carry yourselves with the same service level that we and I demand of our group, externally to our customers. Again, the philosophical alignment, I think, was a key decision as to why we made the decision to go with you, quite frankly.
Yeah, for sure. And we also mentioned on the time commitment front, right? We provide a done-for-you service. You were also able to bring in Zach, another person on your team, to help facilitate any content approvals or just getting like back-end tracking links set up for sales calls so we can track the return on investment we're driving you. How's that been with Zach?
Zach's the best thing that ever happened to me, and I think your internal team would say the same thing about them, specific to their relationship with me. Again, you guys have plugged into what we already had created and have just enhanced it. I mean, just this morning I spent, 5 minutes, 10 minutes reading the next batch of content that for the next, I think, 20 days and approved that quickly. I mean, giving Zach the authority to do that has been also helpful, but that's something that again, it's my content on my pages. I want to make sure that it's my approved. And so you guys kind of the gatekeeping that you allow is dictated by the customer, as opposed to yourselves. And I think that's a unique selling prop, in my opinion. Most companies are like, you got to do it our way. It's not really how you guys operate.
No, it's definitely a team effort. 100%.
Yeah.
How has your experience been on the monthly content recordings?
Yeah, those have been fun. I mean, I think I joked with you and your team. The last one I did was literally the morning of the Knicks coming back from 29 points, and I was at the game, and so I was exhausted and I was like ready to cancel. I was like, no, I gotta have this call, and Ken was just great about it. I love those. Between him and Kevon, I mean, I love the two of them and how they kind of accepted me and my kind of authenticity of how I show up to those calls. But those are great. I mean, they're an hour long. They're super exhaustive. The questions that are being posed to allow me to kind of continue to go down and interweave not only my own personal journey, but my own professional journey as well. They've been great. And I think you know this about me. If they weren't, I would tell them, or I'd tell you that they weren't what I was expecting.
Yeah, I do know that about you for sure. And I appreciate that. I'm the same way. Straight to the point, right? We don't have time to waste. Let's get it done. Let's get the best result possible. Which is interesting because when we kicked off, the comments weren't exactly the writing and there weren't exactly the responses you would have thought to write yourself. But we decided to run with it anyway, and the views took off. So how did your thinking change from those early doubts to where we are now?
Yeah, so like you're talking about, like I thought some of the comments that were being made potentially were not my voice, right? Or I wouldn't have said it that way. And so I think there was a little bit of, and you know this as an entrepreneur, the control, right? You love control. My view has changed, obviously, just because the you can't really fabricate data or the numbers that, whether it be the views, the impressions, the rise in, X amount of followers to Y amount of followers. So engagement is super important. Again, I think sometimes you just have to let kind of go and let the process happen the way that it's supposed to happen. So I'm a believer in what we're trying to achieve together. And I think some of the nuances we've tried to hone, I got to give a little, you got to give a little, and we've both been able to do that, especially with Maria. So
yeah, Maria's in charge of your outbound. She does the commenting. She does the DMs. She books you the sales calls. Just want to make that clear for the audience.
Yeah, sorry. And one of the ideas that you guys had on your side was to get her involved in one of my content recordings so she could actually see me, learn about me, hear my voice. And I saw the change immediately. Like, I think she was super adaptable to who that I was. Some of the directness, some of the way that I, the way that I write, my content, the way that Kevon and Ken have integrated their voice into my stuff. So yeah, she's been phenomenal.
Great to hear. Great to hear. How well do you think we capture your voice in the content we've been putting out?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a fair critic, right? Like nobody can write like yourself because you're yourself, right? It's like a pizza review. I think like Dave Portnoy. It's probably like an 8.5 out of 10. I mean, it's as close to what I think somebody can probably do in a both short amount of time, 3-month period of time, and it's continually gotten better, like closer to me. Again, I also believe you guys provide the ability to give feedback on any and every part of the transaction or the process. So even this morning, you can ask him, Ken and Kevon, all the time, I'm writing comments. I'm not somebody that just goes in and is like, approve, approved, reject. Like I'm writing, hey, this is the feedback about this. This is the picture I don't like. And so I think you're always... My philosophy about anything in life is what you put in is what you're going to get out. I think if you put 50% into the gym, you're going to probably get 50% of the result that you probably could get in. It's the same thing about this business relationship. If I choose to not be involved in it, I'm probably not going to get a great experience. I'll probably blame you. That's not who I am. I think a lot of people operate that way. I think you've got to be all in on it, which is why I've said to Zach, listen, you probably could handle a lot of this for me, but I'm going to be involved in this because this is something I'm passionately doubling down on for a year or however long period of time that we're going to do this. So yeah, I'd say 8.5 out of 10, which I think is a very high mark personally.
Yeah, and I think it's a testament to your feedback as well, because we can only refine your voice when you give us the feedback of, I wouldn't say this specific word or I wouldn't say this phrase, right? And then we can implement that into our next batch of content. That's very important. So we do appreciate that.
Yeah, totally. And again, I want people to understand, because maybe they don't understand my scale, 8.5 out of 10, I think. It's like when somebody said to me, I got 100 on my paper. Like when you were in, and I was a former educator, right? So nobody can write perfectly. You know what I mean? Nobody can get 100 on something. We're not talking about a math test of there's a right and a wrong answer. So to me, I don't even think 9 is achievable, quite frankly. Even if I was writing my own content, when I was writing my own content, there were posts that stunk. I don't think there's been a single post, quite frankly, maybe put it a different way. There's not been a single post, I think, that has gone up since this relationship has begun that has gotten less than 1,500 impressions. When I used to write my own content, there were some posts that used to what I would call flop, where there was 600-700 impressions. People didn't love it, didn't go very far. I haven't experienced that.
That's amazing. That reach compounds.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Totally.
Couple more questions for you, Michael. What's one piece of advice you would give to a new client to get the most out of working with us?
I think just diving in, like, to all of it. Like, if you don't have the time to do it, don't sign up, in my humble opinion. You're not going to get anything out of it. You're going to get, a partner in it. Obviously, I know you guys are going to be showing up and providing the value that, to which, I think value, that's an interesting phrase, right? Value is the ability to command the price that you charge. And so if you're charging X, that's the amount of value you need to get back out of it. You have to, as a customer, like, you have to be a part of the value you get out of it too. So diving into it all, I think at the beginning I was kind of like, well, I don't know that I need this part of it. Well, then I found out that easily I do actually need that part of it. The accountability piece of, like, the Slack thing, that was one of the things I didn't like at the beginning. I was like, I don't like Slack. It's never been a thing I use. Now I'm in Slack all the time because I see how valuable it is in the event that that's where the hub of communication occurs. Now, Zach is handling most of that the Slack communication because he's in my office and outside my door every day. And when he needs me to get in there, I'm in there. But yeah, diving in is what is the best advice I would maybe give. Like, being completely all in. If there's a 3-month contract or 4-month contract, whatever it is, you better be willing to be all in for the 90 or 120-day period.
Okay. What would you say to someone who's on the fence about signing up?
Interesting. I don't know. I could take that one of two ways. If somebody's on the fence, they're probably not ready, in my humble opinion, because this is too easy. The solution is too easy. What you've created is, in my opinion, worth it. I mean, again, I wouldn't have said yes to a testimonial if I wasn't willing to put my own reputation and my own words behind it. Like, I mean that. And so I think if you're on the fence, you're probably not ready. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't get yourself ready, like in 100 days after that. But if you're on the fence, I'd say give it a try. But I think that sometimes is a little bit foolish to be like, oh, just give it a try. Like, we're talking about real dollars and cents, right? And when you're making a business transaction, I think if you're going to make a business decision as a business leader or an entrepreneur, you need to be all in on a decision, not like, oh, let's see how this goes and figure out the proof of concept. I'd already proven my proof of concept. I've built a lot of my reputation on LinkedIn prior to meeting you. What was attractive to getting in relationship together was I wanted a footprint outside of just one platform, and I wanted consistency in doing that. So I was all in on that, and it took one call. Usually, and you can probably ask Zach, I'm not that easy to please as it pertains to like a one phone call. Like, I'm somebody who's going to doubt it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to mold it. I'm going to try to find the holes in it way before I'm ever like, yeah, let's do it. I think like that day I was like, yeah, give me the credit card authorization form. Like, I'm ready to go. So to me, that's how I would take that question. I could have taken it a different way, but like, if you're on the fence, that is on you, not on you.
I got it. Yeah. And we did. We got started like right away, and the rest is history. We've been just hitting the floor, running, and getting some great results. So, all right. Last question for you. Anything else you want to share with the people watching this? Not
necessarily. I think we covered a wide variety of topics. I think you do a great job of that. I mean, no, what I want to share, I mean, I think if you're somebody that's out there that's either running a business, running a revenue generating team inside a big, you're running a vertical of a bigger organization, personal brand is super important. Alignment of philosophy is super important. And I think if you find that in this company, you can jive. And if you don't find it, I think they're open to hearing how they could mold or make themselves, adaptable to you in the way that you're doing it, such that you can jive. To me, that's hard to come by in a partner. A lot of people are like, this is what we offer. If you don't do it our way, we're not going to stick our, we're not going to take you around square and put it in the circle, peg hole or whatever the phrase is. Like, you guys are very much like, hey, tell me what you got in place today. Here's what we offer. There is alignment. And you did a great job of this, I think, at the beginning, where you were like, hey, I've told people no before, as have I, where I'm like, hey, this doesn't work. I can see this ending as a crash and burn, and I have the foresight to know that ahead of time such that we're not going to start this relationship and end there. You're like, listen, I'm going to vet you, you're going to vet me, and if there's alignment, this has the opportunity to really succeed. If not, we'll both agree to go in our separate directions. So I think doing the vetting process and doing that authentically, not BSing one another, which you obviously don't BS, but I think I didn't come onto that call going like, this is what we want and this is what we are, and I haven't not shown up that way in the 3 months of our relationship. Like, I've told you exactly what we were going to be and who we were going to, and who it is that we are. And that's why I think it's worked. So that would be what I'd share, is like, make sure there's alignment at the beginning. And to your point, the rest is kind of history there.
Yeah. Awesome. Forcing a bad fit doesn't help anybody. So there's no use in forcing that. So that's not something we do for sure. Okay. Thank you so much for spending the time, Michael, and for the testimonial. And we'll continue driving great results, hopefully till the end of time. Let's do it.
Awesome. Thanks, Colin.